We sit in a comfortable position with our backs straight but not tense. Our shoulders are relaxed. Our head is slightly bent forward. Our mouth is relaxed with our tongue touching our palate. And our eyes are slightly closed, looking downwards. We allow ourselves to be present in this present moment. To find gradually a comfortable and safe place within ourselves. We observe our own breath, this feeling of being aware of breathing without forcing our breath. Gradually, we allow it to become stable, balanced, and deep. We observe our body and we recognize where there are tensions. When we inhale, we gather up these tensions one by one, and when we exhale, we dissolve them, eliminating them with the air that goes out. We relax that part that was before tense. We relax our eyes, our face, our abdomen, and gradually we observe where there are tensions in our body, tensions that were created recently or have been there for a long time. We inhale, gathering up the tension, and we exhale, relaxing our body and eliminating that tension. We observe the tensions that were accumulated in our mind, our thoughts, our emotions, that take up space inside, not and they don't allow us to relax in ourselves. We gather up these inner tensions like worries, fears, without getting into any kind of dialogue with them. We simply recognize them and we gather them up sweetly. And when we exhale, we eliminate that tension with the air that goes out. When we inhale light, white, golden, bright light that brings us a deep feeling of peace. And when we exhale, we eliminate the tensions that have been accumulated in our body and mind in the form of dark smoke that dissolves into the space in front of us, bringing us gradually to a deeper state of calm, of relaxation, of presence. We visualize our body like a body of light, light, transparent, full of light. At the center of our body, there's a central channel that starts from our forehead. It bends like an umbrella handle, goes through the center of our body, through our spinal cord, and ends at the base of our spinal cord. We have two side channels that are weaker, and they go all side by side the central channel until they enter the central channel about 3 fingers underneath the navel. They started our nostrils. So now we'll do the 9-round breathing exercise. Make a Vajra fist. Each one should follow his own rhythm, following his own breath. We inhale and exhale. Gently, we rest our mind on the feeling at our nostrils of the air that comes in and the air that goes out. Any other thought that comes to our mind, as it comes, we just let it go, bringing our attention back to our own breath. Gradually, we count our breaths. We inhale, we exhale, 1, and we go up to counting to 21. to rest in the feeling at our nostrils, the air that comes in and the air that goes out. We keep our awareness on our breath, and little by little we can open up our eyes and move our hands. when we conclude a session, a meditation session, let's try always to let's try to get back to our starting point, which is go back to our breath. So we maintain this awareness to our breath. We go back to observing our breath. And even when we open up our eyes and we move our hands, we try to keep that awareness on our breath, creating that bridge between our meditation session and when we're not in meditation. So little by little, when we finish, we move around, but we bring our attention to this awareness of our breath, not specifically on the feeling at our nostrils, but our breath, and then move. And what's important now, this evening, when we'll do our next session, so I've done a mix of the various techniques that we've looked at, which doesn't mean that they are right for everyone. So the 9-round breathing exercise is better for some. Counting the breaths is another. What I've tried to do in these days, I've tried to explain what meditation is and give you tools that you can take with you and use. But it's up to you to try them and see. Also, the order can be a little different. One could start with the 9-round breathing exercise and then do the others. It doesn't necessarily have to be in this exact order, but these are the various exercises. Even just simply allowing ourselves to be still, I think at the beginning is one of the most beautiful. I did this a lot in India when there were debate sessions. And during debate, there were long periods where before the debate there was a time for prayer, and then there was then the same amount of time of debate. And sometimes there were very, very long prayers, but you weren't allowed to bring a book. You needed to recite by heart. And I was one of the few that didn't know them by heart. I didn't like memorizing. And then there was one prayer of Siddhartha that lasted not 45 minutes. And so what I would do, I was quite young, I would do this kind of game with myself. I would say, "Oh, I'm going to sit here, and as until the prayer finishes, I'm not going to move. The mind's going to go where it's going to go, but I'm just going to sit still." Um, and this was a kind of gym for me. So it can happen, for example, maybe when someone needs to wait for a plane or you're somewhere where you have to wait. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Oh, I just stay still without moving, without missing your flight. But if 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 one misses one's flight because one is absorbed in meditation, that's a good sign. But the point is to try to use other opportunities to apply these techniques. So one is, just sitting without having to direct the mind, I think is a wonderful exercise. And then we have this exercise of relaxing our tensions. And you can do that even without that first, relaxing the tensions of our body and then the tensions of our mind. And then the other exercise where I inhale light and I exhale black smoke, which is important also for relaxing and for bringing our mind to a stable point, because it's said that we can't generate um, we can't generate a positive mind based on a negative mind. If I'm in an angry state, a negative state, I'll never be able to generate a feeling of love or generosity. So first I need to be in a neutral state. So breathing in light and exhaling that negativity, that sadness, that anger, that resentment. That's important. That's one exercise. That's another exercise that we did, and we didn't do it, but remember that you can also inhale from our nose and exhale from our mouth when you're taken by strong feelings. We can do this, for example, maybe I'm waiting for a meeting or some kind of meeting, or if I'm somewhere, I'm in a waiting room, for example, instead of picking up a magazine or picking up my cell phone or eavesdropping to other people's conversations, I breathe in light and I exhale the negativity. If you have nothing um, to dissolve, to throw away, to release, then you rest in the refuge that you have found in yourself. And then we've seen the 9 cycle breathing exercise. I invite you to try this even when you don't have a lot of time in the morning, for example, before you start other things. You do that exercise. It's a very valid exercise. And then we saw also um, the up to here, we're not meditating. These are exercises to prepare us for meditation. And I'm sure that this preparation is as important as the meditation itself. If you do it well, then the meditation it becomes very easily. So, as we were doing it, this brought us to have a more stable and deeper breath or way of breathing, and little by little, the mind calms down without thinking. Now we need to calm down the mind, which wouldn't help at all. So these preparation techniques are very important. Also, we saw breathing with awareness, observing our breath, and here our meditation begins. I choose one object and I place my mind on one object. And if you saw that once you start doing that, it becomes more difficult because one was relaxed and now we're trying to keep our mind to do something. So staying with a relaxed body in this state, it's is much easier than keeping the mind relaxed on an object. Yesterday we said that one of our one of our objectives in meditation is developing the 2 flexibilities. So where we want where the body is still and one feels physical joy and pleasure staying still without it being tiresome. And then the mental flexibility, where one feels a kind of inner pleasure keeping the mind still. First, we reach the flexibility of mind, then to gradually reach the flexibility of the mind, the body, and then the mind. So this, when one reaches that, one enjoys. It reaches a feeling of real pleasure, physical um, enjoyment. I remember during a retreat, someone came to me and said, "I have to tell you something. Something happened to me." I'm a little bit embarrassed, but I was there concentrated doing mantras, and at a certain point, I started to feel this inner heat that just came up, and it was like I was having like an orgasm that just never ended, that just came from inside. This is the experience of bliss that can be generated from the inside. These are experiences these are tools. This is not the objective in and of itself, but one is able to stay with himself. When the body is happy to stay still, this generates a pleasure. When one doesn't want to move at all, it's pleasurable to stay there. When doesn't even want to swallow saliva. One reaches a total flexibility of the body. One can stay as long as one wants without any fatigue. But one reaches that, then one needs to reach the flexibility of mind, and and that becomes hard, and one loses a little bit of the flexibility, that pleasure. When one is able to have an object of concentration where one can place one's mind and one doesn't have any distractions, with no mental agitation or foggy mindedness, when one is awake and that object of meditation is clear, there's clarity and being concentrated single pointedly, when that brings pleasure to the body and mind, one one reaches what is called shamatha. In Tibetan is shine, translated translated um, as calm abiding. Calm, it's staying in the calm. So calm abiding. It's being in a state of peace. The mind rests on an object and stays peacefully rested on that object. And when that brings pleasure to the body and mind, that's shamatha. And then the next step is vipassana. Once one is able to keep one's mind on an object and that brings pleasure, there's a part of the mind needs to go out and needs to analyze the object, almost as if there's a part of the mind that is single pointedly meditating, and another part of the mind needs to do an analytical meditation. At the beginning, it's difficult, and one loses the pleasure, but little by little, one familiarizes himself. But then one can stay single pointedly without mental agitation or mental fogginess, and then the part of the mind can analyze the object, and then that brings the pleasure of body of mind. One reaches what is called vipassana in Sanskrit, or lakton in Tibetan, translated as special insight. This There we are familiarized even more deeply with the object. Our final objective is that once one at a certain point, when what has meditated on, when that comes in spontaneously, I no longer need to induce that feeling of the preciousness of this life. It's something I live. It's something I feel. I it's it's like the difference between talking about chocolate and eating chocolate. It's no longer a conceptual experience, but it becomes a direct experience, and this is the objective that we want to reach. So what I wanted to give you now was was that, that so that you could understand that there is a path to follow. So and it's a possible path. It's possible. I don't know if it's my feeling or if you can see that it is actually possible to develop shamatha. I'm not saying that it's easy, but can we take that first step? That first step is staying still. And the second step, and then we can do the third. Obviously, we can't take the fifth step if we haven't done the fourth, and we can't take that fourth step if we haven't done the third. We need to start with the first. So we're already starting and we're already managing. So this experience, I have this feeling. My feeling is it's more pleasurable before we actually try to place our mind onto when we try to place our mind on an object. So little by little, we need to relax the mind on the object and not force the mind onto the object. Is that difference clear? So now we're going to stop here for dinner, And at 9 o'clock, we'll do another meditation session.
Lame kutse rapten chin nam karatin le chokchur ge padang losan tempe drume sasum ki drove munsela takto ne gyurchi nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delek shin ninsen takto delekpe Kuncho sumke chingi loba, kuncho sumke ngodrubo tsol, kuncho sumke rashi sho.
Have a good dinner, and we'll be back here at 9 o'clock. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.